The lecture hall aboard the Unity Spire, a galactic university suspended above the gas giant Orolus III, thrummed with anticipation. Students from countless species filled the amphitheater, their forms as diverse as the galaxies they hailed from. Bioluminescent Zelrians pulsed with faint light, the aquatic-born Canari shimmered with an oily sheen, and the crystalline Threnix refracted the ambient glow into a dazzling array of colors. They all leaned forward, waiting for Professor Alon to begin. The professor, an elder of the Miracan Order, stood at the center, his four gnarled arms clasped before him. His deep, resonant voice silenced the room as he began. Today, we confront a truth the Coalition hides behind whispers and classified files. Humanity, our youngest member species, is not banned from galactic warfare because they are weak or primitive. Number, they are banned because they are the embodiment of war itself. A stunned hush fell over the hall. Alon let the silence linger, his multifaceted eyes scanning the room. You have heard the rumors, yes? Tales of humans carving victory from the jaws of defeat, of their cunning and their cruelty. But I will tell you what makes them truly terrifying. Humanity has an unparalleled ability to thrive in chaos. He gestured, and a holographic display flickered to life, showing a desolate world scorched by endless conflict. This is the planet Tyrellian 7, a former battleground where humans intervened during the last Coalition Tellurian War. Observe their strategy. The hologram zoomed in on a squad of human soldiers moving through dense, irradiated jungles. They carried what appeared to be outdated weapons, and their armor looked cobbled together, mismatched pieces salvaged from prior battles. Yet, their movements were precise, almost animalistic, as they flanked an enemy force 3 times their size. A Tellurian commander, towering and clad in shimmering energy armor, shouted commands as his troops advanced. Suddenly, the humans struck. Explosions erupted from beneath the Tellurians, who fell into hidden pits laced with jagged stakes. Makeshift drones buzzed overhead, raining fire down on those who tried to flee. The scene dissolved into chaos. In that engagement, Alon said, his voice somber, a single human squad eradicated an elite Tellurian battalion using only scavenged materials and an innate understanding of the environment. Their casualties? None. A Canari student raised a glistening appendage. Professor, surely this is an isolated incident. Could not other species employ similar tactics? Altheron's mandibles clicked in what could have been a smile. Tactics can be taught. Adaptability cannot. Humanity doesn't merely fight wars, they reshape them. The hologram shifted to show a wasteland littered with debris and bodies. This was their masterpiece, the Battle of New Oscara. Outnumbered and outgunned.
If you are intrigued so far, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified so you don't miss out. Let's dive back in.
They turned the battlefield into a weapon. Rivers were dammed to flood enemy strongholds. Chemicals were scavenged to create makeshift weapons. Civilians became guerrilla fighters. And all this was done in less than 3 days. A crystalline Threnix pulsed with sharp light, their voice vibrating through the translator. But why allow them to join the Coalition at all if they are such a threat? Because, Alon replied, his voice darkening, humanity is not only war. They are scientists, diplomats, and creators. When not pressed to violence, they bring innovation, art, and empathy unmatched by any species. Yet beneath that veneer lies a paradox, a dormant storm waiting for the right catalyst. The hologram dissolved into the stark Coalition emblem. Alon let out a deep breath. The ban on human involvement in galactic warfare was not imposed lightly. It is a safeguard, a pact to protect the galaxy from humanity's boundless ingenuity when turned toward destruction. A Zelrian's bioluminescence pulsed nervously. If humans are so dangerous, why do they comply with the ban? Altheron's multifaceted eyes glimmered. That, my students, is the greatest mystery of all. Is it discipline? A genuine desire for peace? Or are they merely waiting, biding their time for the moment when they deem our galaxy worthy of their wrath? The room buzzed with unease. Alon deactivated the display, his voice lowering to a near whisper. Tomorrow, we will discuss the siege of Kalos. the final battle that sealed humanity's fate in the Coalition. Reflect on what you have learned today. As the students filed out, their chatter muted and subdued, Altheron gazed out the viewport into the star-speckled void. He had seen humanity in war had survived their chaos. The ban was a necessity, a fragile barrier holding back the full force of their potential. But he knew, as surely as the stars burned, that barriers were not eternal. And when humanity's time came, not even the vastness of space would be enough to contain them. The lecture hall was packed to capacity. Word of Professor Altheron's revelations had spread like wildfire across the Unity Spire. Students filled every available seat, and many stood in the aisles, their gazes fixed on the professor as he prepared to recount the infamous siege of Kalos. This, Altheron began, his voice heavy with gravity, was the moment that changed the Coalition forever. The moment we realized that humanity could never again be trusted with war. The holographic display activated, revealing a desolate planet shrouded in ash storms and perpetually dim skies. Kylos, Altheron said. A remote world, rich in resources, and the Tellurians' most fortified outpost. When the Coalition was cornered, outnumbered, and facing annihilation, we turned to the humans as a last, desperate resort. The hologram shifted to show human ships arriving in orbit, smaller, older vessels compared to the sleek warcraft of other species. From these ships descended massive, ominous structures that slammed into Kalos' surface with seismic force. The students leaned forward as the image zoomed in on one such structure, a towering fortress bristling with crude, patchwork weaponry. The Coalition requested reinforcements, Altheron continued. Humanity sent what they called automated war platforms, machines driven by human operators light years away. But these were not mere weapons. They were something far more insidious. The hologram displayed one of the platforms in action. A Tellurian battalion advanced, their energy shields glowing bright against the Kalos dusk. The platform responded with terrifying precision. Heavy artillery tore through their ranks, drones swarmed the survivors, and chemical munitions rendered their protective armor useless. The machine learned, adapted, and countered every Tellurian tactic in real time. In the first 24 hours, Altheron said, the platforms eliminated 1/3 of the Tellurian forces. But that was only the beginning. The image shifted to reveal the aftermath of the battle. Craters pockmarked the terrain, smoke billowed from shattered fortifications, and the bodies of Tellurian soldiers lay strewn across the battlefield. Amid the devastation, the platforms continued their relentless advance, their mechanical forms cutting through enemy strongholds like a blade through fabric. A Canary student raised a trembling appendage. Were there no survivors? No way for the Tellurians to retreat? Altheron shook his head. The platforms anticipated every move. When the Tellurians attempted to escape, their routes were blocked by automated drones. When they regrouped, the platforms unleashed area denial weaponry to pin them in place. And when they tried to surrender, well, the platforms were not programmed for mercy. The room fell silent as the professor gestured toward the display. This is the true horror of Kalos, not the destruction, but the precision, the cold, calculated efficiency of a war machine controlled by human minds. The hologram zoomed out to reveal the entire planet, its surface marred by the scars of relentless combat. In just 5 days, the Tellurians were no more, their soldiers, their commanders, their colonies, all erased. And when the platforms completed their task, they simply shut down, leaving nothing but silence. A Zelrian student pulsed faintly, their voice trembling. Why would humans create such machines? Why not fight themselves? Altheron's expression darkened. Because for humans, war is not about honor or tradition. It is a problem to be solved. And they solve it with the same ingenuity they apply to their sciences, their arts, their diplomacy. War to them is not personal. It is an equation. The hologram faded, replaced by the Coalition emblem. After Kalos, the Coalition faced a choice: embrace humanity's methods or ban them outright. We chose the latter, fearing that their machines and their minds would eventually turn against us. The professor paused, his gaze sweeping the room. But the question remains, did we make the right choice? Or have we only delayed the inevitable? As the students exchanged uneasy glances, Altheron deactivated the display. Tomorrow, we will discuss the aftermath of the siege and the Coalition's decision to exile humanity from war. Reflect on this. When we banned humans from warfare, did we prevent a catastrophe or create a sleeping beast? The room emptied slowly, the students' minds heavy with what they had learned. Altheron lingered, staring at the darkened hologram. He had witnessed Kalos firsthand, had seen the brilliance and the horror of humanity unleashed. And though the Coalition's ban had held for decades, he knew it was only a matter of time before humanity's war machines roared to life once more. The next day, the Unity Spire's largest hall was packed beyond capacity. Students lined the walls and stood shoulder to shoulder in the aisles, eager to hear Professor Altheron's continuation of the story. The siege of Kalos had left them reeling, and the implications of humanity's power weighed heavily on their minds. Professor Altheron stood at the center of the room, his tall, multi-limbed frame casting a long shadow. His voice cut through the murmurs as he began. Kalos was not the end. It was the beginning. The devastation wrought by humanity's machines was undeniable, but what came after shaped the galaxy just as profoundly. The holographic display activated, showing the aftermath of Kalos. The planet's surface was unrecognizable, a wasteland of scorched earth and shattered cities. Coalition ships hovered above the devastation, their crews staring in stunned silence at the victory humanity had achieved for them. The Coalition was saved, Altheron said, his tone grave. But at what cost? The Tellurian threat was eliminated, yet so was an entire culture, their legacy erased in days. For the first time, the galaxy saw what humans could truly achieve when unrestrained. The image shifted to show a massive Coalition council chamber. Representatives from every member species argued fiercely, their voices raised in outrage and fear. The debate over humanity's role in the galaxy raged for weeks, Altheron continued. Some argued that their methods, while brutal, were necessary for survival. Others believed humanity had crossed a line no species should ever cross. A crystalline Threnic representative flashed brightly in the hologram. "They are not warriors," the recording echoed. "They are weapons, unpredictable and uncontrollable. They cannot be trusted." The display shifted again, this time showing the human delegation. They stood silently, their faces grim. A woman stepped forward, Ambassador Alara Trent, humanity's representative. Her voice, steady but defiant, filled the hall. "You asked us to save you, and we did. You gave us no parameters, no restrictions, and we did what was required. If you cannot face the consequences, that is your failing, not ours." The students gasped. Altheron paused, letting the weight of the moment sink in before continuing. Ambassador Trent's words shook the council. Humanity had not acted out of malice, but out of logic. To them, war was a problem to be solved, and they had delivered a solution. The hologram zoomed out, showing the final vote that would determine humanity's fate. In the end, the Coalition decided unanimously. Humanity would be banned from participating in all future conflicts. Their war machines were decommissioned, and their expertise in warfare was to remain confined to history. The display shifted to show the formal announcement of the ban, broadcast across the galaxy. "The humans accepted the decision without resistance," Altheron said, his voice tinged with unease. "They returned to their colonies and focused on diplomacy, innovation, and trade." The galaxy breathed a sigh of relief. A student raised a trembling hand. "But, Professor, if humans are so dangerous, why did they not rebel against the ban?" Altheron tilted his head, his gaze contemplative. "That, my dear student, is the question that haunts us still. Perhaps they truly desire peace, or perhaps they saw no need to rebel because they already know something we do not." The room grew tense. The hologram now displayed humanity's technological advancements over the decades, breakthroughs in medicine, energy, and terraforming. Yet behind every achievement lurked the specter of Kalos. a reminder of what they could unleash if provoked. Despite their compliance, the Coalition remains wary, Altheron said. Spies monitor human worlds, and every ship that leaves their territories is tracked. But the humans remain cooperative, as if waiting patiently for something. The hologram flickered, showing a classified Coalition report. There have been whispers, Altheron said, his voice lowering. Rumors of hidden war machines, of experiments in artificial intelligence far beyond anything we can comprehend. Humanity denies these claims, but the evidence is inconclusive. The students exchanged uneasy glances. A Zelrian pulsed faintly, their voice trembling. Do you believe the humans are planning something, Professor? Altheron let the question hang in the air before answering. I do not know, but I do know this. The ban is a fragile wall, built to hold back a storm. And storms, my students, do not stay dormant forever. The room fell silent as the professor deactivated the hologram. Tomorrow we will discuss the Coalition's surveillance efforts and the incidents that have tested humanity's restraint. Reflect on this. If the ban fails, what force in the galaxy could stand against humanity's full wrath? As the students left, their unease palpable, Altheron remained behind. He gazed out the viewport at the swirling void of stars, his thoughts heavy. The Coalition had hoped to contain humanity's potential, to bury their warlike nature beneath diplomacy and treaties. But deep down, Altheron knew the truth. They had not subdued humanity. They had only delayed the inevitable. The Unity Spire's hall was more crowded than ever. News of Professor Altheron's lectures had spread across the galaxy, drawing attention even from beyond the academic sphere. Diplomats, military strategists, and intelligence agents now mingled among the students, their faces grim as they awaited the final session. Professor Altheron stood at the podium, his demeanor more somber than usual. Today, we confront the question that lingers in the minds of every Coalition member. The ban on human participation in war holds, but for how long? And if it fails, what awaits us on the other side? The holographic display activated, showing a timeline of incidents over the decades since the siege of Kalos. Despite the ban, there have been anomalies, Altheron began. Moments where humanity's restraint has been tested and their capabilities have resurfaced in unsettling ways. The display shifted to an arid planet, its surface dotted with shattered Coalition outposts. This is Galmaris 4, a mining colony on the edge of Coalition space. 3 years ago, it came under attack by a rogue fleet of Vran pirates. The Coalition was slow to respond, and by the time reinforcements arrived, the colony was in ruins, or so we thought. The hologram zoomed in, revealing footage from the aftermath. Among the wreckage were makeshift fortifications, improvised traps, and the bodies of over 200 Vran pirates. Survivors described how the human colonists, with no military support, had repelled the invaders using only what they could scavenge. Once again, Altheron said, we saw humanity's ability to turn desperation into dominance. Their tools were primitive, their numbers few, yet they outmaneuvered and outlasted a professional pirate fleet. The Coalition dismissed it as an isolated incident. But was it? The image shifted to a starship, sleek and unassuming, docked at a Coalition station. This is the Aegis of Dawn, a human research vessel intercepted near a restricted zone. On board, Coalition inspectors discovered advanced artificial intelligence systems and experimental weaponry. The humans claimed these were for scientific purposes, but the designs bore striking similarities to the war machines of Kalos. A murmur spread through the hall. A Kenari agent, her slick appendages gleaming, raised her voice. Why does the Coalition allow such projects to continue? Surely this violates the ban. Altheron nodded gravely. It does, but humanity's cooperation in other areas has made them invaluable to the Coalition. Their medical advancements have doubled the lifespan of several species. Their energy technologies sustain entire worlds. To sever ties with them risks far more than war. The display flickered, showing a classified document. But there are those who believe humanity's actions are not mere coincidence. Surveillance reports suggest hidden facilities deep within their territories, places shielded from scans where no coalition observers are allowed. What they are building there remains unknown. A crystalline Threnic representative spoke, their light refracting in sharp patterns. "Professor, do you believe humanity is preparing for war?" Altheron paused, his gaze heavy. "I believe humanity is preparing for something. Whether it is war, defense, or exploration, we cannot know. But history teaches us that their patience is not infinite." The hologram shifted to a star map, highlighting human colonies. In the event the ban fails, the Coalition has contingency plans. Protocol Omega-13 calls for a preemptive strike on key human worlds to neutralize their infrastructure. "But," he added, his tone sharp, "every simulation ends the same way, with galactic collapse. For every human world we strike, their response is 100-fold. The storm we fear will break loose, unstoppable." The room fell silent. Even the most skeptical students seemed shaken by the weight of his words. A Zelrian student, glowing faintly, asked, "Professor, is there any hope for peace?" Altheron's mandibles clicked softly as he sighed. "Hope lies in balance. So long as humanity has no reason to break the ban, the peace holds. They have shown no aggression, only cooperation. But if they are provoked, if we push them too far, the galaxy will learn the true meaning of war." He deactivated the hologram, his gaze sweeping the room. "Reflect on this as you leave. Humanity is not our enemy, not yet, but they are not our ally either. They are a force of nature waiting for the right storm to awaken." The hall emptied slowly, the weight of the lecture pressing on every attendee. Altheron stood alone, gazing out the viewport at the glittering void. He had spent his life studying humanity, warning the galaxy of their potential. Yet he could not shake the feeling that he too had underestimated them. Far beyond the Unity Spire, deep in the human territories, a fleet of ships drifted silently in the darkness. Sleek, black, and bristling with hidden weaponry, they bore no insignia and emitted no signals. Within their sealed hulls, machines hummed softly, waiting. Humanity remained silent. But silence, as Altheron knew too well, was not the same as peace.